Greetings, online investors, and welcome to another Investor Roadshow presentation from the Online Investment Conference. I'm Peter Norman, founder of the OIC, where our goal is providing you with investment ideas worth watching. We've got another great idea to present to you today. Relevant Gold is a North American gold exploration company founded by experienced exploration geologists and operated by a highly respected team with a proven record of significant value creation for shareholders. The company is focused on the acquisition, exploration, discovery, and development of district-scale gold projects in the state of Wyoming, one of the most mining-friendly jurisdictions in the United States and globally. Rob Bergmann is CEO of Relevant Gold and joins us here today to present the story. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having me here today. I'm excited to bring to you all the Relevant Gold investment thesis. We are a junior gold exploration company developing projects in Wyoming. We are developing high-grade district-scale projects out there focused on defining a new mega district, specifically with Abitibi-scale potential. We are listed on the TSX Venture Exchange under the ticker RGC, and we list over-the-counter in the United States with the ticker RGCCF. You will see some forward-looking statements, and we are an early-stage exploration group with a high degree of risk, so it is very important to understand these investments and do your homework. But ultimately, we like to pride ourselves in mitigating as much of that front-end risk as we can by doing high-quality technical work and managing our money responsibly. And we think we have a very strong and unique value proposition in today's marketplace. We've built an incredible team of value creators with deep human capital infrastructure in our organization. And we're again focused on this bigger idea of unlocking a potential mega district in Wyoming, specifically with that Abitibi scale potential. And we'll get into that. With this in mind, we've established a very large land position. We've got 5 district scale projects across 2 major camps, and we have multiple long-term exploration drilling permits in hand. Our work to date has identified very high-grade gold at surface, including visible gold from surface trenching and rock chip assays highlighted by 168 grams per ton gold, as well as at depth in our first ever drilling program at our Golden Buffalo project, where we drilled 83.8 grams per ton over 1 meter, and followed up with that success by testing another target last year at our Lewiston project, where we drilled 1,500 meters and 10 of 11 holes intersected oxide shear-hosted gold mineralization. In addition to that, we have generated over 12 district-scale targets across 50 kilometers of prospective Abitibi-style shear zones throughout our portfolio. And all of this has been with this idea of developing a true pipeline of discovery opportunities in the wonderful state of Wyoming, where it is incredible to operate. And the thing that got us really passionate about this in the first place was that the potential of this and the scale of this thesis, it was really one of these exploration stories that has that potential to live on for centuries. And that is really what got our group excited about this. We are a very uniquely held group with management and insiders being the largest shareholders. Myself and co-founder Brian Lentz are still the largest shareholders, not just from taking free and cheap stock. This is from sinking our hard-earned dollars into developing this business from the ground up. In addition to that, we have New Gold, who took a strategic 9.9% interest, and Mr. Rob McEwen, who came in for 6.4% on our last financing. In addition, we've got 21% held by ultra high net worth individuals and the rest in retail hands. And with only 63 million shares outstanding, we are very tightly held. Taking a look at that incredible team I mentioned, from the board level down to the boots on the ground level, we've really assembled a great group here. Dr. Peter McGaw, who was the co-founder of Mag Silver and has led numerous major discoveries in the industry. He's actually been Brian and my mentor since university, so we've had the good fortune of having Peter kind of coach us all along the way. Then we have Sarah Weber, who's out of Vancouver. She is the CEO of C3 Alliance Corp. They focus on Indigenous relationships, permitting, ESG, community relationships. She brings a lot of depth in that arena and also has a tremendous network in the business world in Vancouver. And then Ron Parrott. Ron has led the discovery of over 20 million ounces of gold in Nevada, co-founded AUEX Ventures, and has sold numerous deposits for billions of dollars. Rounding out the board is myself and co-founder Brian Lentz. Brian and I have actually been business partners for going on over 15 years now. We've built a number of very successful companies in the private side of the natural resource industry, First and foremost was Big Rock Exploration, which is now one of the top tier exploration consulting groups in North America. And we service the biggest mining companies in the world: Rio Tinto's, BHP's, Glencore, Freeport, the list goes on and on. Some of the other shining stars in this group are really these technical advisors. Dr. Dean Peterson, he did his PhD in the Abitibi Gold Belt studying Timmins, Kirkland Lake, and Hemlo gold camps, has a deep understanding of these types of rocks, went on to lead the RAGE program for Newmont, which was their regional Archean gold exploration program in the 90s. And so he's seen a tremendous amount of these deposits in the Abitibi and these orogenic gold systems. Dr. Tom Campbell. Tom is actually the co-author of the Encyclopedia of Minerals, but he spent his career as the senior exploration geologist for Homestake Mining and then Barrick, both at the Homestake mine in South Dakota, as well as the Hemlo mine up in the Abitibi. And then rounding out that technical advisory group is Dr. Kevin Chamberlain. Now, Kevin's a critical piece of our puzzle. He's out of the University of Wyoming, and he is one of the main authors that has published the science connecting Wyoming to the Abitibi during the time of gold mineralization, 2.65 billion years ago, a critical piece of our investment thesis. So what are we focused on? We're focused on orogenic gold systems. Why? Because they're some of the biggest, highest grade gold systems on Earth. They've accounted for over 1 billion ounces of gold and 1/3 of the global gold production in history. So it's really important to understand how these systems formed, as that really guides how we explore for them. First, you need a deep metallogenic fluid source. This is deep in the Earth's lower crust, upper mantle, where you're accumulating these precious metals in solution and really amalgamating all of the gold and silver into that fluid. Then, when you have your major mountain building event, your plates crashing together, you form the next thing you need, which is your pathway. This is your deep-rooted Archean structures that tap into those fluids and allow them to upwell into the Earth's crust, where they look for the third thing they need, the favorable host rocks and secondary structures, where this gold gets trapped and is happy precipitating out in these near vertical, very large ore bodies. And the largest known orogenic system on Earth is the Abitibi gold belts. They have produced over 200 million ounces of gold in the last 150 plus years. And that gold specifically comes out of these east-west anastomosing Archean belts that cut all the way across the southern Ontario and Quebec provinces of Canada. And you can see along these belts, you have clusters of large-scale, multi-million ounce deposits in these kind of clustered camps along the belt where these deposits have formed. So this brings us to our really compelling thesis. We started to connect the dots in the academic literature. This wasn't something that we just came up with out of thin air. This was really identified consistently in the published academic literature. And it was this connection of Wyoming and the Abitibi province during the critical time of mineralization, about 2.65 billion years ago, when all the gold came into both of these systems. Then later, 500 million years later, you had your major tectonic rifting that rifted the Wyoming province off to where it presently resides. So it was under this thesis that we saw tremendous overlooked potential for Archean orogenic gold systems in Wyoming. And really, we believe Wyoming is the unexplored extension of the Abitibi gold belts. So from here, we put our boots on the ground, started testing the thesis, assembling the targets and packages, and we were able to basically identify 2 major camp scale areas and take almost complete control of the ground in these regions. We focused here, this is from the academic literature, so this is actually one of the publications that published on this science connecting Wyoming to the Abitibi. And this green circle here is the actual Wyoming province as it's been reconstructed. The east-west dashed lines cutting across the state, these are your Archean belts. And we focused specifically on this Oregon Trail structural belt, where we've taken control of South Pass and Bradley Peak camps. Our South Pass is our flagship area, and our Bradley Peak camp is about 150 kilometers to the east along that main Oregon Trail structural belt. So how does this compare in size and scale to the Abitibi? When you take a look at South Pass, our flagship camp, this area is about 45 kilometers end to end. If you were to draw this box around any area in the Abitibi, you are able to engulf the entire camp scale region. So our packages are very large, and we have truly district scale assets that we are going after in Wyoming. Taking a look at that portfolio, again, we've got 5 district scale projects across those 2 major camps. Our Golden Buffalo and our Lewiston projects are our 2 flagship assets. They've seen the most work to date, both of which in the last year and a half have gotten their first ever drilling campaigns completed on them, and we've had some pretty compelling results. We've been able to prove up our thesis out in Wyoming, and I've identified now 2 large fertile orogenic gold systems, one at Golden Buffalo and one at Lewiston. In addition to that, we've done a kind of regional exploration program across our portfolio. Last year's work identified 3 new district scale high grade targets at our Shield Carissa project, where we've got high grade gold and high grade silver with 486 grams per ton silver sampled across a 3-kilometer shear zone corridor at that project. In addition, our Bradley Peak project, which is again 150 kilometers to the east of South Pass, we did a regional program where we identified 3 new district scale targets with very high grade gold as well as high grade copper associated with our gold. So really excited about what we've been developing out there. In addition, some recent geophysics has really amplified these targets and supported our thesis even further. And we basically take a very systematic approach in pushing all of our assets up that value curve throughout time. Because we're a very technical group and we've done this time and time again for some of the biggest mining companies, we understand exactly what it takes to create that true step change value and get through the point of discovery, which is what we're striving for as an early stage exploration group. And you can see here that we've been able to move our entire portfolio up that value curve throughout time, and we're going to continue to do so. And all of that work to date has now checked every box for large scale, high grade orogenic gold systems throughout Wyoming with a direct connection to the Abitibi gold belts. Wyoming is an incredible place to operate. We've been able to get long-term exploration permits in very short order comparative to a lot of US jurisdictions. As someone who's permitted in almost every major jurisdiction in North America, I can assure you that Wyoming is about second to Nevada. In addition to that, we also have a very supportive community. It's the least populated state in the United States that's heavily dependent on natural resource development for its GDP. So we have a lot of support and a lot of streamlined permitting and development pathways here in Wyoming, as well as some of our peers and colleagues that have recently received permits in an expeditious fashion over in Cheyenne with US Gold Corp. So here we're looking at our 2023 exploration program. We did a tremendous amount of work on a very thin budget, which I'm really proud of the team for their execution here. We did a regional program where we identified 6 new high-grade targets, district-scale targets, 3 of them over here at our Shield Carissa project, as well as 3 of them over here at our Bradley Peak project. In addition to that, we did a soil sampling survey on our Golden Buffalo program to try to identify the potential extensions of the main mineralized Golden Buffalo shear zone. And we did. We got a 3.5 square kilometer arsenic geochemical anomaly in soils that looks like to be the potential extension of our main Golden Buffalo shear zone, which we drilled 83.8 grams per ton over 1 meter, as well as we've trenched with surface trenching, high grade visible gold and surface assays up to 168 grams per ton. And lastly, we went over to our Lewiston target where we drilled 11 holes for 1,500 meters. 10 of 11 of those holes intersected oxide shear hosted gold mineralization, illustrating a widespread orogenic system at our heavy hand target in Lewiston. Really excited to get some deeper holes into that system this year. Lastly, the airborne geophysical survey that was flown over our entire property. This was actually flown by the Wyoming State Geological Survey and USGS, so it was at no cost to our shareholders, but it has added a tremendous amount of value as it allows us to see through the cover rocks and into the Archean basement. The results were very interesting and compelling, and we'll look at those. One of our other things that we pride ourselves on is being an execution group. We don't put out news for news sake. We're not a fluffy company. We put out material news and we put out regular news because we design our programs in order to take advantage of our seasonal windows and maximize the results and kind of the time frame of our news flow throughout the year. And this is just one example of how we've been able to successfully do that again in 2023, really achieving everything we set out to do and more. Some of the bigger things that I like to highlight in this list are really outside of the technical results that identified big new targets. We were able to renegotiate a lease with option on our Golden Buffalo project and we now bought that for 1.5 million shares, and in doing so have eliminated $16.2 million in calendar-driven payments. And again, this regional airborne magnetic survey was about a $2.5 million value US that we saved. So cumulatively, we added an equivalence to our market cap in value for our shareholders last year. Looking forward to this year, we've got some really exciting plans where we're going to continue to define the gold potential in South Pass at our Golden Buffalo and our Lewiston projects, where we plan to do some detailed, deeper geophysics and follow up on our great results out there with about a 1,500 or so meter drill program. And in addition to that, we're going to expedite our Bradley Peak project, move that up the value chain to permitted drill targets as quick as we possibly can because of some of the great results we got, both out of grade from some of the targets we generated, as well as the geophysical results that have now continued to support that and fine-tune those targets at Bradley Peak. It's not just us who think it's a great opportunity. One of our illustrious board members also does, Peter McGaugh. He's seen a lot of these big system scale things. That's why he is a part of our team and part of our board. So there's a little quote from him there, as well as one from Gold Newsletter that was just written up in April this year. Really a lot of support coming from the market as we continue to get this story out there and more widely spread. So join us for the next big discovery in Wyoming.
Rob, outstanding presentation. Relevant Gold sounds like an exciting company with an impressive list of projects for you and your team to build out. Let's delve into a few questions. You just mentioned Peter McGaugh. He doesn't sit on a lot of boards. What do you think got him excited about sitting on your board particularly?
Well, there's a number of things, right? You're absolutely right. It's not very common to see Peter on the board. He was attracted, I think, to our board for a number of reasons. Most particularly, he's actually been following our careers since university. I mean, he's been our mentor since university. He's watched the successful businesses we've built. He's watched the projects that we've been a part of evolve. So he's always seen the potential of our greater group. And in addition to that, he loves big systems. He loves district scale, high grade opportunities. He's beat that into my head my entire career. He talks a lot about Archie's rule, which is to be economic, a mine must have a recovered value of 2 times its all-in operating cost. And Archie's rule is important because it allows you to really live through the market cycles of mining. And so I think, for us, we're really proud to have board member like Peter, like Sarah Weber out of Vancouver, who's an absolute powerhouse, and Ron Parrott, who's literally led the discovery of over 20 million ounces of gold in Nevada. He understands gold like none other out there. And he's done this from concept through exit. So that's the thing, is we've got a board with folks like Peter and Ron and Sarah who've seen this, done it, and built these opportunities to maximum value for their shareholders. And Brian and I are continuing to build successful and profitable businesses. And so really we've got kind of the ultimate group together here. And I think that's another reason why I imagine Peter has joined the team.
Rob, I've been to Abitibi in Northern Ontario quite a few times, spent quite a few summers there. And I've also been to Wyoming. Above ground, they don't look very similar. Why do you think they look similar underground?
First and foremost, you have to keep in mind, Peter, that in the Abitibi, they've underwent glaciation. So the glaciers plowed a lot of those rocks over, polished them, and covered them with till. In Wyoming, we did not see that glaciation event. So the mountains are still there, the rocks are exposed, and so we get these Archean windows of rock poking up through the younger cover, and we actually can see these rock types, the lithologies, the exact same type of rocks. We've dated them, we've connected them, and really the difference is they've seen weathering, they've seen oxidization because they're exposed at surface. But ultimately, they are the same rocks. They are identical in their characteristics. And we do believe that they were connected during that time of gold mineralization. So ultimately, the terrain is different, but the rocks are the same.
Rob, you talked about the airborne anomaly at Bradley Peak. What got you so excited about this particular anomaly?
That anomaly is actually really prolific. So the reason airborne geophysics is such a great tool in these types of Archean orogenic gold systems is largely because it allows you to see through the cover rocks. This allows you to ultimately the younger rocks that cover these old billions of year old rocks is actually magnetically invisible, basically. And so these airborne surveys allow us to vastly cover big swaths of ground and see an image of the rocks beneath it. And what that survey showed us was a few major things. One, that we are on this big through-going Archean belt, just like the Dester Porcupine or the Cadillac Larder Lake Break that you see in the Abitibi. What we know about the deposits in the Abitibi is that they form in the secondary structures that come off of those major Archean belts. And at Bradley Peak specifically, our regional program had identified these 3 new district scale targets in the property package with high-grade gold and copper associated. And ultimately, when we got the geophysics back then later, we saw that all of these are really cropping out in the hinge of a large fold feature. And that it's that folded rock that basically is ubiquitous for accumulation of fluids, right? Even in oil and gas, they look for those anticlines, and that's where the oil forms and they pump down and pump it out. Well, it's very similar here where we have those types of features. We have dilation and open space, and that allows that golden-rich fluid to come up into the Earth's crust and be trapped where it can precipitate with those favorable host rocks. So our regional program had already identified, yes, we have the regional or the favorable host rocks. We have the high grade associated with these and the major shear zones and structures within. And now this geophysics has allowed us to see through the cover and identify that these anomalies are right in the center of that major fold hinge. And this is a 120 square kilometer anomaly. So the really strong importance here is this is very similar to what we would see in a Red Lake camp environment or the Hemlo deposit, where you have these major features allowing for that fluid accumulation, and therefore they are incredible targets for gold exploration.
And that concludes our question period and our presentation for today. And Rob, before we bring this session to a close, for your final remarks, why not summarize for investors why they should invest in relevant gold?
Well, first of all, I'm investing. I'm investing in the open financings that we do, private placements, as well as on the open market, alongside my co-founder and a number of our board and management members. So we truly believe in this. We are vested. And that's also partially why we have such a tightly held structure. You can see our stock is able to move quickly because of this structure. We've kept those shares very close. And we're really proud of that. It really sets us up for the long-term success in the market. We believe we've got an upside multiplier. And what do I mean by that? We are going after a truly belt scale concept and have developed a pipeline of discovery opportunities. Over 12 targets now, district scale targets with high grade gold and this direct connection to the Abitibi. And really it was that thesis that gets us into one of our other major points. We've got a first mover advantage. We've been developing this thesis internally since 2016 and really started to put our boots on the ground and consolidating these large district scale, camp scale regions into our portfolio. And now we've got a land package that exceeds 45,000 acres across those 5 district scale projects, all of which is in Wyoming, which is an incredible place to operate with great infrastructure, a very streamlined permitting environment, and a widespread supportive community. Grade is king, high grade systems. Who doesn't love high grade? Ultimately, the reason grade is king is that it meets Archie's rule. It helps you meet Archie's rule, which I had touched on before. Ultimately, we have very high grade gold throughout our entire portfolio, including coarse visible gold that has come out of surface trenches. So there's no question as to whether or not there's gold in our systems, and the fact that we do have high grade throughout. We've got a very strong market position. We're in that pre-discovery phase of the Lassonde curve with a lot of very near-term catalysts in front of us, building off of some of the tremendous success we've already had to date, improving up these big orogenic systems in Wyoming. And lastly, our human capital infrastructure. Not only do we have an incredible board of folks who have done it time and time again and created billions and billions and billions of dollars of value in the marketplace, we've got the capital infrastructure to be able to take this, rapidly develop our programs. Brian and I have created, again, one of the most kind of well-versed exploration consulting groups in North America, and it allows us to tap in on an as-needed basis to move these things along quickly and efficiently and cost-effectively for our shareholders. And as the largest shareholder, that's really important to me. We like to spend every dollar like it's our own, and we take a lot of pride in that. Join us for the next big gold discovery. You can find out more information at relevantgoldcorp.com. You can follow us on any of our social media handles there. And if you'd like to get in touch with us and inquire anything about the company, the technical details, we've got a tremendous amount of data that we're not shy to walk through with people. You can contact me directly at rob@bri.group. That's rob@bri.group. Additionally, you can reach out directly to our investor relations on the email and phone number that's listed here on this slide. We welcome any questions and look forward to hearing from you.